Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Monday morning, the 24th of March. I'm going to talk about the Sebastian Rogers case in this video. It's not about his case, let's be completely clear. It's not about his case, it's not about Sebastian. It's about all of the drama, the furore, the real life lawsuits, doxing, whatever is going on that I keep my nose completely out of. It's this kind of video that I really don't like making, but I'm just giving my two penneth here on what went down last night. Before we get into that though, let me just remind you, if you're here in the UK, 54-year-old Darren Orme is still missing from Wigan, very close to where I live. He's been missing since the 5th of March. He's still missing. The police have narrowed down just a few kind of streets, few areas that they're particularly interested in, which I find interesting. So the footage that you're seeing on your screen right now is me a little bit north, not too far north actually, of where the police have indicated they've got a special interest. I will be going out there again in a few days if Darren isn't found. Okay, let's get into this video and let's just get into it. All right. Last night, my time, there was a live stream by Everyday with Jay. She was fixing to talk about Julie Skolnick, who I don't know. The only reason I know that woman's name, Julie Skolnick, is because apparently at some point in the past she had a go at me and a bunch of people contacted me to tell me that Julie Skolnick had a go at me. Okay. In the words of Oscar Wilde, what people say about me is none of my business. So I didn't go and chase it up. I don't care. I just don't care. But apparently she's been really nasty towards the Profoots, and she's also had a go at SF Investigates, who is the PI for Sebastian via his mother Katie and his stepdad Chris. I did watch that live stream while it was live, but I was maybe an hour behind. I did catch up some, but I didn't watch it live, if you will. And while it was going on, SF Investigates was tweeting he was, really upset that Julie Skolnick had been given a platform on Jay's channel. Now, Jay's intention was to talk about, I think, a panel appearance that Julie had, and Julie came up on panel, so it was impromptu, it wasn't a planned interview, and Jay and B. Tim talking to Julie very civilly. What I took from it was that they were trying to get Julie to see how misguided she was. She was upset about being involved. I don't even know the backstory, and I don't want to know the backstory. I don't care enough about the backstory of this particular little niche issue. I feel really bad for people who are being implicated in these frivolous, ridiculous lawsuits, but that's as far as my concern goes. I feel bad for those people. I'm not involved in it. Why would I talk about it? Anyhow, they couldn't get Julie to see the way she behaves towards Katie and Chris Profoot is unfounded. It's uncalled for. Now, Julie was saying that they were abusing Sebastian and that's her problem. That's her problem with Katie and Chris. Well, there's no proof that Sebastian was being abused by Katie and Chris. He may have been unhappy. He may have been. He may easily have been. And we know that Chris admitted whipping him once with a belt. Did that happen more than once? Maybe, maybe not. But you've got to remember that all of the things that have been said against Chris have also been said about Seth, Sebastian's biological dad. He was actually named in the divorce papers between him and Katie that he was, according to the judge, borderline abusive. So he's been accused of hitting Sebastian, leaving marks on Sebastian, when he was a lot younger. And Seth isn't a responsible parent, in my opinion. You know, people saying that Katie was irresponsible for not having cameras in the house or outside the house. Well, did Seth? And Seth was leaving Sebastian alone for 12 hours plus while he was working. And don't come at me saying he had to, he had no choice. No. That's a dilemma that thousands and thousands of parents, if not millions of parents across the world, grapple with. That they've got to work, so what do they do with their kids? Well, if they're old enough, they can stay on their own, can't they? But Sebastian, according to, Seth, he has the mental age of about a 10-year-old in certain aspects. Very intelligent, but he's like a 10-year-old in certain aspects, in social connection and things like that. So leaving somebody with the mind of a 10-year-old in the house on their own for 12, 13, 14 hours, is that sensible? No. Some of you might think that's okay. Personally, I wouldn't do it. I'd find an alternative way for Sebastian to be cared for when I had to work. The same dilemma that thousands, if not millions of parents face on a day-by-day basis. Okay, so then Cluminati and her fiance Cletus, they joined the panel. And then there was Crimson, who also joined kind of later. And it did get very fractious because they got on to the topic of SF. And Julie would not back down. She thought it was absolutely fine to get her audience to mass flag SF to try to get his license revoked, his PI license. That's completely out of order. She couldn't see it. Clue and Cletus absolutely went to bat for SF, as did Jay. That was it, conversation over. They'd talked to Julie for hours, and I know SF is upset about her being given a platform by Jay. But I honestly think that there was good intentions there. That they were trying to get her to see how destructive and horrible these Green Team people are. And I wish more and more people would confront those who are in this Green Team. Because the Green Team is just completely, in my opinion, detrimental to Sebastian's case in ways that I can't even describe. I've never seen a case like this. I thought the Summer Wells case was bad, but Summer Wells was just a warm-up. This is insane, and all of this is going down in Sebastian's name. How many of those Green Team members do you think really care about Sebastian? How many? You might be supporting the Green Team as an observer, and you might be thinking, yeah, they're doing great work, but you're being hoodwinked. And I'm sorry. And every time I say this, I lose subscribers. I don't care. Because it's got to be said. So I do think, this impromptu thing that went down wasn't bad intentioned in any way. And giving her that platform, I think, showed her for what she is. It showed her for everything she is. It showed her that she understands some of the problems, but she's not willing to look at things in an objective manner, in an open-minded manner. It shone a light for me on everything that this Julie stands for. Again, never watched her. Never watched her at all, not even for a minute. Never clicked on her channel at all. But it showed me everything I needed to know about that person. Anyhow, Steve SF wrote this long post. I'm going to read this out to you. I do agree with some of this. In my opinion, and Steve has got way more invested in this than I do, I'm sitting on the sidelines. So I'm not saying what Steve has said here is wrong, even if I don't necessarily agree with all of it. Because, this Julie person has tried to get SF struck off his PI license, and that's out of order. So this is both an apology and a farewell of sorts. Earlier today, I had a lot to say about Julie Skolnick being given a 4-hour platform. I understand that some participants felt it was necessary to be cordial with her in order to gain insight into the inner workings of Tony Seth, At Night and others. This is exactly my issue. Why does it matter how a fake organisation operates when it is run by a parolee and his boyfriend, both of whom previously worked for a tabloid magazine, Nick and Hong? All right. Their fake At Night organisation, obviously fake, but they've been given a platform by the likes of News Nation. This whole Green Team is a big issue, and shining light on them as the reprobates they are, I think is a good thing for Sebastian's case. Sebastian's case has been hijacked by these people. Seth has been hijacked by these people. Seth should be ashamed of the way he's allowed himself to be controlled by national spokesperson Tony Mathis. It's cringy in his son's name. And then we've got At Night. And would they even have got any publicity whatsoever had they not been hanging on the coattails of Dog the Bounty Hunter? How these At Night people have got involved in Dog the Bounty Hunter, I have no idea. I'm not interested. But it's only because Dog the Bounty Hunter is in some way affiliated with them that they've been taken seriously by anybody. Them and their truth serums. You know, I saw through them from the jump. It's obvious that this was all just fake BS. But because so many people believe them and so many people are willing to say, yeah, this is Sebastian's case, they're doing the best with Sebastian, shining a light on these people has its uses. It absolutely does. That people need to wake up. These are the same individuals who threaten witnesses in a sex crimes case against Sylvester Stallone in an attempt to profit from a perceived celebrity connection. Okay, I live in my own little bubble. I didn't even know Sylvester Stallone was involved in a sex crime case. What? When did that happen? I only know Sylvester Stallone because he was Rocky, and I did like the Rocky films back in the day. Find a large flight of steps to run up and then, shadow box at the top. Back in the day. These people fought to get Bill Cosby released from prison and proudly took pictures with him. Dear God. Alright, I didn't know that. To capitalise on Sebastian Rogers' case, they started a fake and unlicensed intelligence agency. They absolutely did. Obvious it was fake from the jump. Preying on those who believe anything they hear. Sadly, there are so many people, and people need to wake up. I'm sorry, if you hate watching me, you need to wake up. You need to wake up. I don't blame you for being gullible. If you're gullible, you're gullible, and that's that. But if you're in, missing persons cases or true crime, you do have to absolutely keep an open mind and look at the evidence. You might have your theory, and that's great. But you've got to also look at the evidence that refutes your theory, not just the evidence that supports your theory. Look at the evidence and the lack of evidence. Lack of evidence is evidence that something maybe didn't happen. And there's a complete lack of evidence that Kate and Chris did anything to Sebastian. Or Seth, for that matter. So people need to wake up. So for that reason, again, shining a light on it has its uses. How does understanding more about them help Sebastian? Shining a light on what they're doing helps his case. Why give her a platform at all? The only valid questions for her should have been about the evidence she has to support her absolute claims of murder, abuse and corruption. Well, they did question her on those things. She should have been asked why she believes she has the right to demand surveillance footage from neighbours when she has no investigative qualifications. Yeah. Is she harassing neighbours? I don't know. Don't know her. This should have been a 5-minute interview at most. With that said, I apologise for calling out B-Tim, Cletus and Clue directly. I do not agree with their decision to allow this interview, but it's their right to do so. Despite this, I want to be clear that I trust Cletus and Clue completely. I do not agree with how this was handled, but they are good people. Well, Clue and Cletus came on the panel later, and they absolutely went to bat for SF. They listened to her, but it shone a light, for me, on who this woman is. That's a good thing, isn't it? The promotion of deceitful and attention-seeking individuals like Julie Skolnick infuriates me because she, along with Bullhorn Betty, Justine the Pearls person, Hong Nick and others, have ruined the value of social media for missing persons cases. Yeah, I see that. The vast majority of missing persons cases get no publicity at all. Look at Darren Orme from my area. Now, last Saturday, not Saturday just gone, but Saturday before, 100 people turned out to search for Darren, like in the local area. That's great. So there are the locals who know Darren, but on social media, how many people are talking about Darren Orme? How many? Is it a good thing? Possibly. Because when a case does gain traction, we end up with this kind of crap. Blaming the parents, blaming the last person to see whoever has gone missing. That's nonsense. When my stepbrother went missing, when I was a teenager, I was the last person to see him. So did I do something to him? Did I make him go missing? And was I the reason he went missing? No. I've told that story several times. I understand what it's like to have a missing person in your family. I've seen, when I was very impressionable, I was a teenager, seen what it does. And that was the days before social media, thankfully. But I think these people who come out and just blame the parents, they have sad little lives. Don't understand how investigations work. If you don't like me because I say things like this, well, that's fine. I'm holding up a mirror. If you're offended by it, ask yourself why. These people are desperate for attention due to their personal failures, so they exploit missing persons to fulfill that need. Why does this affect me so deeply? Because I see firsthand the real harm they cause. Bullhorn Betty is obsessed with me because I refused to give her an interview during the Kylie Rodney case. She initially sent me a message praising my work and asking to interview me as a smaller channel. When I declined, she completely changed her narrative, suddenly accusing the family of involvement in Kylie's death. I was with Kylie's father and grandfather when the news of her discovery was leaked online. So that was when Adventures with Purpose found her. A team member called me to say it had been posted on social media. I had to hang up the phone, look at these two men in the eyes and tell them that Kylie had been found dead. That's absolutely tragic. That's tragic. This is why SF is so deeply affected by these people, way more than I am or you are. That's why he reacts. Again, there is that positive in shining a light on these people, because hopefully some followers will realise and will stop what they're doing. I watch the life drain from their faces. It is a moment I replay over and over and over. Days later, Justin, the Pearls person, attempted to unblur an image of Kylie's deceased body underwater in the back of her SUV so he could see if she was nude. To see if she was nude, that's the kind of pervert weirdo person he is. I do remember that. And his quote-unquote analysis of it was wrong anyway. She wasn't in the position that he said she was in. You can't unblur a blurred image, let's just be clear, but you can sharpen it a little bit and get some things. There was no need whatsoever to do that, and he was flat out wrong anyway, but it was disgusting. That really was disgusting. Then there are bottom feeders like Michelle Hayden, also known as Calicat1974, don't know that person, who contacted a grieving client of mine whose father had just passed away. This client had posted something supportive about me online, and Michelle harassed her, claiming she was a fake account of mine. She even contacted the woman's sister to try to verify if the account was real. That's disgusting. Bullhorn Betty laughs about ruining people's careers, lies to families, steals money from them, and has a long criminal history. She is desperate for attention and has no problem tramping over grieving families to get it. What all of these people have in common is their need for attention. They have failed in life, and instead of taking responsibility, they lash out in destructive ways. They lack compassion, empathy, and integrity. They are soulless individuals who force their failures onto others. I care deeply about every missing person and family I have the privilege of working for. Their stories and outcomes impact me greatly. I live with these stories 24/7. I have no tolerance for people like Julie, Justin, Andra, Hong, and Nick, and others who intentionally harm missing persons and their families. I'm with him there. I am. These are the worst kind of people. Unfortunately, their deception and selfishness has overshadowed the good that once came from social media advocacy for missing persons, at least for me. For me, it's no longer worth it. This is not a complete goodbye, but it is a shift in how I use social media. From now on, I will only be here for major case updates, new case flyers, or critical news. It is disappointing it has come to this because so many incredible people truly want to help. However, the toxicity of a small handful have made it impossible for me to justify continuing in the same way. How many people don't follow Sebastian's case anymore because of all this? I've had people say to me, I like your videos, but I don't follow Sebastian anymore. I don't talk about Sebastian that often. Things like this, every now and again, I weigh up, is it worth putting my 2 pence in? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I think, personally, it is, to shine that light. Clue, Cletus and B-Tim, I apologise for calling you out personally. I still do not agree with the decision to give Julie Skolnick a platform, and I do not believe the information sought in that interview benefits Sebastian's case. However, I know that none of you have bad intentions. I agree. And for that, I sincerely apologise. Following this post, I will post a series of tweets with current missing persons flyers. This is because those are more important as final tweets rather than this explanation. To all of the good people out there, and there are thousands and thousands of you, please continue to protect missing persons and their families. Help them through the hardest moments of their lives rather than exploiting them for attention. Let me know what you think. Is it worth shining a light on these bottom feeders, or is it better just to completely ignore them? What to do? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys. Got it, go girl.